Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Venkat, and I'm going to be your host and moderator for this session. This webinar is about the road to Oracle Analytics Cloud from Oracle BI. This is presented by Ravi Reddy and Firoz Siddiqui. Ravi is the CEO and president of Sunera Technologies. He is famously known for his work titled Transforming CIOs into Chief Innovation Officers. Ravi has helped over 200 CEOs migrate to cloud, and he is also the architect of zero-cost cloud migration in the enterprise world. Thank you, Ravi, for taking your time to share some insights about migration to OAC.
Absolutely. Yep. Thanks, Venkat. We also have Firoz on the call. Firoz will be. Why don't you introduce yourself and take it over from here? Are you sharing the presentation?
Yes. Can you see that presentation?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening and good morning, depending on which part of the world you are. Firoz Siddiqui, I'm a State Vice President. I lead the data and analytics competency, and I've been focusing on Oracle for the last 15 years, and have seen this platform evolve over the years from Inquire to Siebel Analytics to OBI to what it is today is Oracle Analytics and Cloud. So really glad to be here, and thanks for your time.
All right. So the purpose of today's presentation, I'll set the context, and then I'll have Firoz walk us through the differences between the BI and analytics and how in the cloud first agenda, how do we go about creating the business case to convince the users and the internal stakeholders to modernize the analytics and reporting from on-prem OBI to analytics and cloud, and how do you create that? And then at the end of the day, we will go about how do we self-fund that transformation. That's how we will end today's discussion. How can we self-fund? Because today in this the post-COVID era, businesses are going to be tight with respect to making any investment in terms of capital expenditures. So hence, we'll have to find an innovative ways to modernize. So that self-funded transformation is an interesting business model that we've been engaging and enabling a lot of businesses in moving and modernizing the analytics to cloud. So let's start with why BI on cloud. Go to the next slide. Yeah. So as we have been engaged, as you can see, for last 15 years or so with over 200 customers born in cloud company, where we have seen the various transformations that have happened, and then hundreds of cloud services that are there today, and how when you assemble various cloud services, how you can drive digital innovation. And there's and Sunera Tech as a company, we have done two things over last decade. One is we've invested in innovation lab, where we constantly look at all new cloud services, whether it's analytics or IoT and digital assistant, chatbots, machine learning. We look at all these capabilities and assemble them to really solve some real business problems. And the way we do that is what you see on the left is what we call our three-switch approach, which is innovation, if it has to be self-funded, from bringing in efficiencies in your IT, we do what we call automation, migration to cloud, which becomes asset light, such that you're not paying for a lot of these IT assets that you don't use today, right from as simple as excess storage that you pay for, excess compute that you pay for, some of the technical depth and archives that you do on-prem, which could be done at significantly lower cost. From there to, so there are the various benefits of moving assets or IT assets to cloud, and that will fund the innovation. So as you go to the next slide, you'll see that this is, as an organization, what we are guiding and enabling our customers, the innovation is powered by what we call it a Center for Digital Acceleration. The reason why we are seeing that digital innovation is, distinctly different than innovations that have happened in the last 2 decades. In this digital era, businesses still are grappling with true definition of digital, true definition of how data can be the new currency in this disruption era. Because businesses have only 2 options: either you disrupt or you get disrupted. And data is the new currency. And for that to really play a role, if you really are sincere about monetizing the data, then you have no other option than start embracing cloud as the foundation, which we call cloud infrastructure. And when you have that elastic compute and storage that can scale up and down based on how you are bringing the data from various sources, that gives you an ability to multiply the number of sources and number of data points from where you can collect more data. And when you have that amount of data and you start modernizing these applications that actually collect the data and deliver the data to business, and you make them intelligent using AI and machine learning powered applications that are sitting on top of your data, then that is the genesis of what we call an intelligent digital enterprise. So that is our purpose, right? As an organization, enabling intelligent digital enterprise transformation has these 4 horizons. And in that order of horizon 1, 2, 3, and 4. So as you go to next slide, now we'll get into the specifics of why businesses are moving BI to cloud. And some of you obviously know these facts, but how do you go about creating the sense of urgency? A lot of you may know that, right? Cloud is here and there, here to stay. So as you know, 73% today, 73% of all data within the enterprise is not used by analytics. Only, close to 20% of the data is being used. Majority of data is still sitting there unused. It is locked and it's locked inside in your ERP or MES system or PLM system. So that's a huge opportunity. Only 20% of users today are able to do self-service. Every time they need something today, 80% of users have to depend on IT. They're reliant on IT. As per Gartner, 80% of users cannot run their own analytics without taking the help of IT. I think these 2 are enough reasons to look at cloud as an opportunity. Leveraging 80% of data which is unused and enabling 80% of users that actually are, every time they need to make sense out of data, they have to rely on IT. And as a result of this, there's significant mistrust or in the user community. We've been working with over 200 customers today in their data transformation. And one common response we get is users don't trust the data. Right? So with that, if you go to the next slide, this is what we have done over last 4 or 5 years as we are transforming this cloud. We've kind of mapped all the key performance indicators, right? All the KPIs by persona, whether it's marketing, whether it's HR, whether it is CIO organization and CFO organization. We've mapped about 240 KPIs, which we have pre-populated into Oracle Analytics Cloud, such that we're able to drive innovation faster. We're able to deliver analytics on cloud at the lowest total cost of ownership. As you can see, we are delivering at 45% lower TCO than on-prem OBI. The reason why we are able to do that is because as a Center for Digital Acceleration, we've already hosted analytics with pre-populated KPIs, with dashboards, such that at the end of the day, you will realize that what can be done in 6 months, we can deliver in 60 days, the transformation from OBI to Analytics Cloud. That's our vision, is self-funding the modernization to cloud and deliver the benefits of analytics on cloud within 60 days and no more 6 months to 9 months projects. And that we are doing it because in the world of cloud, the role of commoditization, where if we do this for one business, we are able to leverage a lot of best practices for many more. This world of marketplace economy, we believe that more and more predefined assets that we can bring to the table, that we can deliver the benefits of cloud faster than those days of doing 9 months projects. I think we are seeing fast becoming insignificant. In the world of agile, the businesses are looking at delivering value in 4 to 6 weeks, an incremental value. So, and you'll also see that in as Firoz now talks about analytics on cloud, he'll also talk about how do we deliver that incremental value. So Firoz, if you want to kind of take us into a little bit more deeper discussion on OBI and OSC.
Thanks, Ravi. So now we'll look at some of the specific challenges with respect to OBI and why it is becoming a legacy application, right? So I think the first one and the biggest one I would say is the tremendous amount of time is spent, probably 84% of the time is spent in data collection and data preparation, and hardly any time is spent on actually data insights or basically doing any actionable insights for the business, delivering any actionable insight for the business. So I think that is one of the biggest bottleneck. And talking about the business is not really empowered to play with the data and do their own things, right? What we call as self-service. So currently, the business is so heavily dependent on IT for any analysis, for any insights they need. And insights is typically a business-driven initiative and should be driven by business, and technology should be just an enabler. But with the current scheme of things, actually it has become prime IT rather than prime business. So which is really not helping the business in terms of getting the insights. The other challenge is you need a lot of specialized skill and expertise to be able to get the insight, right? Because of the technology complexity and the way it's built, right? So and this is something which is making it difficult for business to even consume. And as Ravi just mentioned, right, this all is making the whole implementation lifecycle longer and longer, right? So there is a considerable amount of time which it takes for any implementation from start to end, right? And now in this current agile world, I think that is something which is not really acceptable. The other big challenge with OBI is it is not a very intuitive platform, a tool. So there is a good or rather steep learning curve, and which becomes a limitation for user adoption, right? So I think that is also one key aspect where there is a challenge with respect to adoption. And now in terms of some of the new functionalities, right? Be it in terms of powerful visualization, be it in terms of advanced analytics, machine learning. some of these things which have become the key aspects of any key aspects of business are missing in the current platform. So I think that's where it is becoming more of a legacy, and I think it's high time for people to look into other platform, move to other platform to be able to address these challenges. And also directionally, Oracle is moving towards the cloud. So I think it makes more sense also to move to OSE as well. So these are the 4 reasons I think anybody should move to OSE from OBI. The first one is augmented analytics. And when I say augmented analytics, it is nothing but the capability of having machine learning and AI in every step of your analytics process, right? Right from your data preparation, data discovery to get the insight. So that it should be end-to-end process, and that's what this platform provides. OSE again empowers business users and help them see the data in multiple ways, right? And that is through the self-service analytics. And I think this is, as I said, this is a pretty intuitive platform and gives a great user experience, which also helps in adoption. And it also comes with all the benefits which we get from the cloud, right? Be it in terms of the agilities provide, the productivity you get, the overall lower cost of ownership. So all these aspects obviously get bundled with OSE. And last but not least, again, it is an enterprise scale platform which provides you the security as well as extensible architecture. And it's, at the same time, it provides you the ability to connect with more than 50 connectors or sources, and that is increasing. So that gives you just the ability to scale up your environment and do and integrate with a lot of different applications. And we'll go into the details of what each means. So talking about augmented analytics, there are a couple of areas or components, what it really means. One is it provides you the ability to really search your content, which is currently not available. So when I say search your content, it could be your dashboard, it could be your visualization, the analysis that you have done through just a text, through a speech or NLP. And obviously, it also personalizes based on your usage. So it becomes more, and it learns from your usage. So that gives a very good user experience over a period of time. And I would say the next one is data preparation, which is, I would say, probably the most powerful ability which is available in this platform, where the business has the ability to play with the data, bring the data from multiple sources, merge the data, and what we call as a data mashup in the technical terms, and basically create their own data set, right, without any help from IT. At the same time, they have the ability to address the data quality by playing with it in the visual form itself. So they can basically get the data, they can clean up the data, address the data quality, and get the insights on their own. So all of this whole 9 yards, they don't need IT throughout the process. So I think that's a big feature, or that's a big feature which this platform provides. Now, when we talk about data discovery, it's nothing but where it provides the ability for you to do an explain plan or explain on any metrics or attribute, right? So let's take an example. Say if I do explain on KPI called as, let's say, attrition percentage, right? So it gives me all the visualizations, all the views, all the visualization, all the dimensions by which you can see the data, and at the same time all the anomalies. And the other key thing is it also gives you the correlation between the data. So you can see, okay, why this attrition is because of the experience, or it is because of the skill set, or is because of something else. This historically you would have done by doing it through multiple iterations of building the reports. So this is something where it gives you that ability to give you that ability to basically look at or analyze the data on their own without much effort from your end. And yeah, the last one is, again, recommendation. So essentially speaking, when you log into OAC, you don't get a blank screen. Obviously, first time you get it, but after that, based on your usage, it starts giving you recommendations in your homepage in terms of what kind of visualizations make sense, what graphics make sense for you. So basically, that kind of makes it more and more user friendly. Now, moving on to the cloud benefits, right? So I think the in terms of agility, I think the first one I can think of is obviously the one-click provisioning, right? The ability to just set up an environment at one click, the ability to scale up the environment, the ability to scale down, the whole ability to accelerate the time to value, right? So I think that's one of the key aspects of cloud, and it reduces your time, reduces the whole startup and time for production for a project or project delivery, right? That brings you the productivity, right? That brings the productivity also from the aspect of reduction in downtime as well as transition and other aspects. And talking about cost, I think with respect to on-prem, there is a tremendous reduction in your overall total cost of ownership. And since it is a pay-as-you-go model, the cost is moved from the IT cost is moved from the capex to the opex. So self-service, so visualization again this is visualization is very intuitive and powerful in this platform, and it provides that dynamic ability to bring dynamic content and ability to discover the content, as well as advanced features like geospatial analysis, right? Some of these things are really really useful for advanced analytics. And in terms of data science capabilities, so I think it provides that very user-friendly platform or interface where end user can actually start doing their own start building their own models. They can use the existing model and run their own data set. So it is something which has been basically made very easy consumable or very easy for end user to consume, which has not been the case all throughout, right? And again, it provides the ability to share your analysis, share your data set, share your findings with your colleagues and in the network. So I think and apart from that, obviously the mobility capability which this platform provides. In terms of enterprise, yeah, so OAC is definitely a platform which provides a lot of integration to a lot of different platforms. So currently it provides the ability to connect to 50 plus, I would say, different platforms, and which is increasing every day. And it is definitely provides the ability to, it's a platform which provides the ability to scale your architecture and expand it based on the need, right? And I think, yeah, the other key aspect is the pre-built model that brings you in to accelerate your whole life cycle and transformation life cycle. So now we've talked about some of the key features of OACs. So we'll cover what are the process, or rather what are the steps to do the migration from OBI to OAC, and at the same time, what are the key considerations? So essentially, it's a three-step process from migrating from OBI to OAC. The first is, where you just do the provisioning for some of the basic services like compute, storage, and database. The second one is where you basically configure services like your security, your authentication, your object storage, whatever is really required from your application standpoint. And the lift and shift process is nothing but moving your application code base from either 12C to OAC or 11G. So the process is a little different for both of them. So from 12C standpoint, what you essentially do is basically create a snapshot of your current code base, what is called as .bar file, and it's basically restore that in the OAC environment. So I'm putting it in a very simplified way. So basically that will really that will help to migrate all your dashboards, all your data models, everything at one go. And it's a pretty straightforward process. From a 11G standpoint, it's it's a two-step process, I have to say. So you have to leverage the utility called import tool, then import all the metadata from 11G, then actually restore it in OSE. So it's a two-step process which you have to follow. Now, having said that, when you're some of the key considerations which you want to when you're doing this migration is first, before you do the migration, make sure that you fix your current environment or current code base. By that, what I mean is your data model, your unutilized initialization block, some of the consistency checks of the repository, some of the things which can become a problem. Which can become a problem when you're migrating to a new environment without basically fixing it. So I think basically fixing the basics first, making sure what you have is working currently, and making sure that things which are not required, like whatever the dashboards or reports are not required, eliminate that. And the key thing is when you migrate, obviously you gotta do the regression testing, and you may identify issues in terms of places where you have customizations. There could be customization with respect to images or customization with respect to visuals, so that you can address that. Otherwise, I think most of it is work, doesn't break as such. So we'll now take a deep dive into one of the interesting case studies for our clients, Exteron. So Exteron is a global manufacturing company which offers solutions in oil and gas, water, and power markets, right? So they've been facing multiple challenges, and in this industry, the business they are in, the business is actually driven by the milestone billing. And what was happening was the CFO was not really happy because the billing was not happening on time, and obviously it was affecting their profitability and margins. The second challenge was the project status report. So when you're running a project, the whole project status report, which means you're collecting the data and doing that analysis and all, it was taking 15 days, and obviously which was also impacting the business and milestone billing. And the another key one was External was having $70 million worth of inventory globally, and for which they don't have any visibility. So that was something which was definitely a challenge. So what we did is to address these challenges, we took a design thinking approach and worked with the business and IT and help them basically envision the future state, help them prioritize their pain points, and we have defined a analytics roadmap as part of the whole exercise, right? And we have implemented project analytics is part of the first phase. And as a result of project analytics, what we have been able to do is we have been able to reduce the cycle time from 15 days to 1 day. And obviously we were able to timely report to CFO and his team. And we have been able to also reduce the overall total cost of operations by almost 250K per year. And last but not the least, I would say, yeah, we have been able to bring a 100% improvement in the quality and accuracy of the project status and metrics which is being reported. And yeah, it also has reduced the dependency on the IT. So these are the immediate impacts which we have made to Exteron as part of our phase 1 delivery. We'll quickly go through our journey in Exteron and our roadmap. So Exteron, we have been an analytics partner from Q1 2020, and we have built a roadmap, as I said, which includes modernizing them to cloud and implementing multiple business functionalities in multiple phases. So having said that, the approach which we have taken is simple. That is crawl, walk, and run. So when we talk about crawl, we kind of fix some of the basic problems they have. And when we talk about crawl, we help them address some of the key functionalities which they need to run the business. And obviously, in Run, we are going to transform their business and optimize their business processes. Right? So as part of the phase one, what we did is we started with the basics, as I said, and we addressed the data quality issues which we had, and then optimized the same. And we were able to basically build a data foundation, and which actually helps us to bring the trust of business on the data. And we also have been able to reduce the load efficiency by almost 30%. And as part of the phase one, we have also implemented project functionality, which was helping them to basically report on their project data. As part of the midterm, what we did is it was more of a consolidation exercise where we consolidated all the data platform and remove the dependency on some of their legacy data warehouses and Noetic system for which they were not getting the right support. And in this process, what we did is we migrated their legacy SQL Server data warehouse to Autonomous Data Warehouse, Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse, and also we did a provisioning in provision of Informatica in cloud. So with this whole process, they've been able to build a data foundation in cloud, which is very, very efficient. And it has also reduced their TCO by almost 45%. And as part of the long-term goal, what we have done is we'll be actually, this is something which is a plan, where we'll be implementing HCM for them, leveraging what we call as Fusion Analytics. And also we'll be doing the assessment for some other line of business like finance and supply chain. And as a part of transformation, we'll continue to optimize their applications and scale it in terms of as it scales in terms of data as well as users. So I think that's the vision we had with Exterin. So what you see here is nothing but the business plan, or rather the program plan, what we talked about. And what you see in blue is nothing but what I was discussing in terms of addressing some of the basics or some of the things which we addressed in the first short term. And then second one is obviously talking about the midterm and where we are implementing some of the functionality, and later obviously providing them optimization and transformation. So over to you, Ravi.
All right. No, thanks. That was great, Firoz, quite insightful. Yeah. And folks, feel free to put any questions you may have in as you see the bottom of the screen, you'll have Q&A. Feel free to type in questions, and either Firoz or I will be happy to answer them. And at the end of the session, you'll also get this presentation in your emails, and the recorded session will be available if you want to further share this with any of your team members in your organization. So, but yeah, with that backdrop, just wanted to give you now, take you into how do we enable this, right? How do, all said and done, most of you probably have already invested some time in understanding, how Oracle Analytics on Cloud works. And some of you have probably already seen the demos, or maybe Oracle has presented to you these things. The question is, yes, we all know the benefits of it, but how do we get there? How do we convince the users? How do we convince the key stakeholders, the CFO and the CMO organizations to approve the business case, to get this started? So as I said earlier, from where I left off, the days of 6 months to 9 months to deliver any value, those days are fast going away. If you can't deliver an immediate value in 4 to 6 weeks, businesses don't have the patience. As you saw, what Firoz mentioned, in case of Exterin, we had to deliver an outcome in 60 days. Only and only then we were able to go to incremental value. So to deliver this value and to make sure the business can touch and feel the outcomes, the benefits, what we have done, we've invested in what is called as Data Insights Lab, right? So the Data Insights Lab what it does is, if you break this whole modernization into analytics cloud, there are 4 I's. What are the 4 I's? Ease of infrastructure, ease of intelligence because of ability to use the machine learning underneath within the platform, ensuring insights, not just giving reports, but ability to give actionable insights. That is the 3rd I. And the 4th I, which I feel is very important, which a lot of the BI implementations fail, is because it is IT driven, and in some cases we don't understand the importance of visualization, what I call interface, how the analytics cloud interacts with the users, the visualization of the data, the colors, the pie charts, what do you use for what purpose, and how does a supply chain user think about data, and how does a CFO organization thinks about data is very different. And if we don't appreciate and empathize with how they consume data and design the interface that gels in the way they operate, I think it will be operation successful, patient died. You may do a great implementation, but the adoption will still fall through the cracks. So ease of infrastructure and leveraging intelligence, delivering it as an insights platform, and making sure we pay special attention to the interface. All these 4 I's have to come together in making the OAC successful. To do that, what we have done is we've invested in creating an OAC environment on the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. As you see, analytics as a service, we basically, as I said earlier, 240 KPIs across all these areas: supply chain, finance, customer segmentation, marketing, sales. And then, so that way, we are able to cut down the implementation time by not trying to discover all these things throughout the project. Hence, we are able to cut down the project timeline from 6 months to 60 days. That is the secret sauce. What we call this as a data next platform. Or you get the OAC, you get the compute Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and you get the pre-built analytics with the best practices around the interfaces and with certain machine learning models pre-built, all bundled in together. We call that as a data next platform, such that you and us can go deliver the business value in less than 60 days. Now the question is, okay, all said and done, now how do I fund this? How do I get this started? As you go to the next slide, you'll see that here is our self-funded business transformation. This is the model we have perfected. We call this zero cost cloud migration, ZCCM. Even if you do a Google search, you will see what is ZCCM. This has been architected by us. We've done many customers. Whoever wanted a cloud first as part of their strategy, folks who are struggling to get approval for new business case funding, we've eliminated that whole issue on the table, that this project can be complete. This modernization from OBIE to OAC can be completely self-funded. The way we self-fund is by migrating your entire OBIE and other reporting stack to Analytics Cloud. There is a significant cost savings just from a compute and the licensing. And we have mastered that. Just lift and shift phase 1, right? By just migrating to OAC, we are able to deliver at 25% guaranteed savings just because we are able to rationalize infrastructure and licensing. That brings down the TCO down by 25%. The additional 15% that we talk about automate and innovate Here we are able to bring additional savings because of all the pre-built KPIs and dashboards as part of DataNext platform. So hence in net, we are looking at a close to 40% saving. And by the way, the moment you are in cloud, you're part of this art of possibilities in cloud, because there are hundreds of cloud services now you can plug on top of Analytics Cloud. You can double the sources of data from where you can start giving insights to your business. You will be in a very different height of thinking from where you are today in terms of possibilities. So I think, so this is our self-funded transformation, 25% saving by just lift and shift, and an additional 50% saving by eliminating the cost of you discovering this. What are the KPIs? What are the dashboards? And within 60 days, delivering the value. So the question is, okay, each business has unique situations. We understand that. Various businesses have different level of adoption of different reporting tools, including OBIE. Now, the way we go about understanding your problem area, each business's unique problem area, and which problem area is the immediate ones to deliver value. In the next slide, you'll start seeing that our whole design thinking approach, right? We don't believe that this is a PPT driven approach. You cannot create a PowerPoint driven business case in cloud. It's all seeing is believing. So way we have done is our whole approach is design thinking approach. We partner with you. Our team basically does a design thinking workshop. It's a 2-hour workshop, very well orchestrated, gets to the bottom of the problem, identifies and documents the priorities and the use cases, right, from the pain areas, and then creates a roadmap, creates a prototype in our environment. So you don't have to buy OSC, you don't have to invest in it. We will use our demo environment, create the POC for you, and show it together with you. We will demonstrate to your key business users. Once they like it, and this whole exercise is 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks max, where we actually create a proof of concept for you on Analytics Cloud, taking your use case. Once that is approved, that is when the real project starts for those 30 to 60 days of implementing that use case. So this is our design thinking approach to embrace analytics in cloud. So as we send these presentations out to you, and if you are interested in this 2 hours of design thinking workshop on how that works, we'll be happy to set up that call with Firoz and team. And if you have any further questions with that, we'll take any questions at this point. So I have some questions here. Transformation model is great, interesting. OBI 12C, okay.
Approximate migration period.
Right. What should be the approximate migration period to OSC?
Okay.
So, you want to take that, Firoz?
Yeah. So let me read the question. The transformation model is interesting. We have been running OBI 12C. What should be the approximate migration period to OC? So yeah, the answer depends. So essentially speaking, most of the time you just don't migrate just the platform. You also migrate the functionality and you build them add-on functionality. So in terms of just migrating a platform, so what we're talking about is a window of around 4 to 6 weeks. And then depending on what functionality you want to add, obviously that can be planned for it. So in short, yeah, it's around 4 to 6 weeks we are looking at to begin with.
Great. So we have another question. It's about data labs. Data labs is a great idea. Will this be an additional cost or part of your service cost?
Yeah, so the data lab is integral part of our enablement, right? All our customers all our customers, whoever engage with us, we empathize that there is no new budgets to drive all these cloud first initiatives, whether it is analytics or any other cloud first, whether they want to move ERP, integrations, data, or innovation on cloud. Businesses do not have new funds to invest in building digital innovation investments. So what we have done is we've invested in building the Center for Digital Acceleration, where all these assets are available, including the OAC asset. So for all our customers, Data Labs, Data Insights Lab is free of cost. All POCs, we believe that only seeing is believing. We believe that all businesses must do the exercise through design thinking approach. So this Insight Lab is free of cost.
There is another one, Ravi. So is there a particular criteria to be eligible for self-funded model? Can mid-size organization be eligible for this?
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Firoz.
So, yeah, so I think there is no specific criteria, and at the same time, I think the size of the organization doesn't matter in terms of being able to leverage the CCCM model. I think there is no specific criteria around that. But the only criteria I would say is we'll have to work over a period of time for probably 3 to 4 years in terms of maybe managed service to be able to make this model work, because the initial investment is done by Sunera, not your firm. Ravi, do you want to add anything apart from this?
No, absolutely. I mean, we believe that for us to partner with our customers, the cloud is a journey, not a destination. And if we make the investment upfront in enabling you, in embracing the power of cloud, I think that enables us to strategically partner for future, because the future is all about value-based partnership. The more value we continuously bring, the more value you will be able to take to your businesses, your users. The days of vendor-client relationships are fast becoming irrelevant. The days of supplier and customer relationships also are becoming irrelevant. The more and more businesses are expecting a strategic partnership, which is fundamentally value-driven, and we believe in that. So all these investments that we've made is available to all our customers at no additional cost to ensure that we are able to successfully drive innovation. So folks, with that, I think thanks a lot for joining the call. If you do have any additional questions, drop in an email. But thanks for taking the time to spend the last 45 minutes with us. And feel free to reach out with any questions you may have. And you all have a wonderful day ahead of time. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ravi and Firoz.